Xbox, not satisfied with its current offerings on Xbox Game Pass, has decided to bring marijuana and hot bitch posters to the service later this month. In more fake news, this is Nuclear Grenade Podcast. Welcome to Nuclear Grenade Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Land. With me, as always, is Havoc, aka Hey Ho. How you doing? Hey Ho.
My day is going well. And how's your day going, my old friend?
Doing pretty good. Getting up, out and about this morning.
That sounds healthy.
Yeah, barely. I drove. I drive like twice a month.
Nice.
But yeah. So you want to start us off with any games you've been playing?
Sure. So the reason why we did not have an episode last week, I have to apologize. The fault was on my end. As you might know, I'm at my parents' condo right now, and the internet is not the best here. A lightning storm happened, knocked out the connection, and so I played Fallout Shelter on my tablet a lot during this last week. And that's been out for a while now. I think since 2015. Yeah, like every couple years I pick it up. And it's a resource management strategy simulation game where you have to manage a vault. You start off with a few dwellers, and you have to assign them into different rooms that you build. Like, you need power to run your vault, and so you assign dwellers there, dwellers specifically with the strength attribute. And then you have to get water and food, and
you breed them.
You can breed them, yeah. And it's I don't know, it's just a really fun game. You can send your dwellers out on quests. You can have them learn and increase their special attributes, so you can actually like fully max out your characters. And it's a fun min-maxing game to play on your mobile cell phone or tablet or whatever. And that's really got me past this last week without internet. Yeah,
I'd say without internet, I mean, and especially like a game, for a mobile game, it's not really that bad, to be honest. Especially like the monetization and stuff, you can continuously play. Like my problem is like with a lot of the mobile games where they have like, you have to have this amount of power, energy. And it's like, I'm not going to play this 5 times throughout the day. So
well, what's interesting is like I pick this game up like once every couple years and play it like pretty hard, and this time like I've played it so much in the past, like I really knew what I was doing, and so like I've been able to pace myself with the Nuka-Colas, which allow you to complete quests faster and do stuff like that, how to ration those out and for best use. So like I've actually been able to sit down and play it for hours on end without running out of stuff to do. And for anyone who hasn't played Fallout Shelter, like you get these dwellers, you can upgrade them with gear and weapons to increase their armor or any special attribute and how much damage they output. And then you can send them out into the wasteland, and they go out and they collect a bunch of shit for you, money, more guns, more armor, blueprints for crafting stuff. For anyone who's a fan of simulation games and resource management games, and you haven't for some reason heard of Fallout Shelter or have played it, and I forgot to mention it's made by Bethesda. It might be actually the last good Bethesda game that came out. I don't know. I haven't played Fallout 76, so I can't really talk shit. I know a lot of people.
I heard it's getting better.
Yeah, I hear it's getting better too. And we've talked about this in the past, where I think sometimes the expectations are so high that there's no way like the fans are going to be happy with a game, especially with a game like Fallout or Elder Scrolls.
Well, I'm not going to be happy until I get New Vegas 2 or something like that. Yeah. Maybe do it in California. Like, where do we know for sure where the 6th one's taking place? Have they said that yet?
No, I'm not positive about that, actually.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Fallout Shelter.
Yep. And then...
I remember the costumes were kind of cool. They had, like, quite a bit of costumes and shit.
Yeah,
armors you can build.
Yeah, there's like cool ones that you can build, like the Brotherhood of Steel armor, and there's also like spy gear. There's like ninja gear. There's all sorts of different types of gears. Really, what you assign is, what kind of special attribute it gives a buff to. So,
is there any leather daddy gear? Leather daddy in the like breeding quarters permanently.
Leather straps, spandex, or whatever.
I know they have like a sexuality stat or something like that, or charisma to boost their breeding or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just gives you like +8 charisma, dude. It's got a little cot piece. Piece hanging off.
I don't know why, but like you get these legendary characters in Fallout Shelter, and they come with like really high special stats. And I always feel like, oh, okay, I should breed this guy or this girl because, the offspring should have better stats, but they never do. Yeah. But I would give Fallout Shelter probably like in 7.5 out of 10 if I had to rate it out of 10. 10 being the best.
On a mobile game scale?
On a mobile game scale. Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about that one?
No. So I played. Let me check. So I played a few games, but Madden 22. You get a 10-hour trial with Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass. So I did the 10-hour trial on that. Played through the face of the franchise, and man, it's so funny. Like, those games are so funny, dude. Like, this is a AAA game made by EA. It's probably one of the #1 selling games every single year after year. And I'm playing it, and it plays like fucking Euro junk. Fucking, like, it plays like a B tier game. Like, the physics and stuff, the bugs are just like insane. The gameplay just feels regressed, step backwards. I don't know. That franchise continues to like give me so much joy just laughing at how bad they can, like, what should be a simple game, you it's a cash cow, put some money into it. I do not, like, you're basically just copying and pasting too. So I don't know how they're making it worse, but they're figuring it out, man, which props to them.
Yeah.
It's like taking like a perfectly baked cake, they find, and then they're like, yeah, this is a perfectly baked cake, perfect tasting. But what if we add dog shit to it? Huh? That might somehow be even better. Yeah, how about some rusty nails?
Sprinkle in a little asbestos while we're at it. I don't know what it is with sports games, but like, and I haven't played, or I don't know what Madden 22 like, but I cannot stand the character animations. They always look so stupid to me. They're stupid fucking blank faces. Like, they come out and they're like jumping around, waving their arms, but their face is just like weird and NPC like.
You don't even have that problem in Madden because you never see them with their helmets off, basically. Like, you always wear the helmet, and that's
a benefit.
Like, the physics are just janky. Like, I had multiple times where I'd be running, and like, I was like, it's like, these aren't online matches either. Like, I'm just playing Face of the Franchise single player. And I go and I'm running through this gap, and then it'll just glitch out, and then it'll teleport my guy like 5 feet to the right and get him stuck on a defender tackled. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's not like once or twice, multiple times. And then, of course, there's always, I don't mind the goofy stuff where you see like ridiculous shit happen, like with some of the character animations going wonky,
Gumby style.
Yeah, but like, I mean, the amount is hilarious. And then, like, I saw a video. This doesn't happen to me, but I saw a video where a guy, he gets a pick six that was going for a touchdown, and then the game like blinks out for a second, and then the ball is just in the middle of the field, and all the players on the field are circling it, trying to grab it, but it's like not a real object. And then finally it becomes a real object, and his team lands on it and grabs it, and then it counts a touchdown for the other team.
Nice. AI wins.
Yeah. The announcers are the same as like the last 3 years, basically, for what they're saying. Which I would be fine with if you would add on to it more, like you start with the base game, you keep that, and then you do the same amount of work and just add that on top, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they're compressed audio files. Like, how much of the game is that really taking up? You didn't really get to dive into the player progression system too much, because now it seems like it's reductive, and you have like 5 points you can put into like these 5 different stats. You gain overall much faster as well, it feels like. So I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if it's a step forward. I like more stats. I like more things to tailor. I want the stats to be broken up into far more individual type things, like agility separate from speed, and things of that nature. Strength, arm strength, medium accuracy, like all these things more separated, and that way you can tailor your character exactly how you want. Mm-hmm. So this is more of like, you don't have a lot of ways to go with the character progression. They did add a linebacker position. It's like one defensive position you can play and face the franchise now, which is awesome. Like, I love playing as a defender, and I prefer my sports fantasies to be like a little more on the realism spectrum. Sometimes you want to be the quarterback that's going out there as a rookie and automatically dominating, but sometimes it's cool to play just as a defender, and you start off and you get maybe a couple sacks, and then you start becoming just like a beast. Mm-hmm. So that's cool, but it's only it's still a huge step back from like the 2014, 2013 Maddens, where you could literally do face of the franchise as any character.
Yeah.
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 And it's like, this is nothing. This doesn't take a lot of work.
Well, yeah. Well, what do you think about this theory? Okay, so when you have a series that's been ongoing as long as Madden has been, when they first write up the game, the very first Madden and then the subsequent ones, it's original code, but somewhere along the line, like, people just start copying too much. It's like, okay, let's take so much out of this previous Madden, put it into this new Madden, and now they have programmers that don't really program. It's like having a pilot of a plane that just turns on autopilot and never actually flies the goddamn plane. Yeah. And so originality, like, they don't have fresh code. They don't have fresh stuff going into the game anymore. It's just rehashed and maybe tampered with a little bit, reorganized a little bit.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, just because these problems have been, and just because I don't think nearly as involved with any of the sports gaming communities, but the list of issues are well known. I mean, what people want in the game have been known for years and years, because they were stuff that were originally in the game that have been taken out. That's like the most frustrating part, is many of the things that people want were just already there. And now, like, I understand you build up something. This is what always happens. You build up something good, and then you ride that positive feedback and love and praise of people, that positive attitude towards you. You ride that into the ground, extracting as much cash from that good faith as you can, until it turns to bad faith.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I understand that. What I don't understand is, like, at this point, though, then you reboot it, Then you're like, no, we're coming back. We're going to build a good Madden. And then you do that. And then you get good faith again. And then you can ride that into a ground all over again. But I don't understand. I mean, I copy the whole fucking game. I don't give a shit. Just add on to the base foundations you have. Well, and do it at a quicker pace. You're EA. You can afford hundreds and hundreds of people to work on this shit and still make tons of profit.
Yeah, well, I think from a practical side of it, like, if you don't rewrite the code ever, you start getting complacent with the code. I talk about John Carmack every once in a while, and one of the principles that they had at id Software in the early days was that they never reused code. Even if they built a similar game, they rewrote it from scratch, and they took what they learned from the last game and wrote it fresh. Instead of like tweaking this and tweaking that, because when you do that, you end up with this spaghetti code. It's really hard to manage, especially if you're, not the one who made the changes.
Yeah, they'll do a new game, or not game, but they'll do like a new Madden engine every couple of years. and it's supposed to be like when that new year comes out, the game plays a little better. They fix like the physics and stuff. They've made that stuff better, and then they add on to their back some of the stuff. They take it away every time, but you can't write original code for a game that comes out every single year.
Yeah, you're probably right. There'll definitely be boilerplate. It's just
like the games are hollow.
Yeah.
The games are just hollow and water depth, like shallow, like mud puddle depth games is the real issue. I don't even hate the way it plays. Like I think it's decent. It can be fun when it's actually working. But they just need to add way more depth to the modes that people actually play. But they put all their money into MUT, which, with those kind of when you do those kind of card packs and loot boxes type of monetization, then you don't need very much of the player base. You really only need a small percentage of people that spend a lot of money. That's how a lot of that works out, which explains why a lot of times the prices are so high for what are essentially nothing. Code they've written one time a couple of years ago and it's just there. So, so they catering this game, like all the money gets poured into this for this tiny little portion of people who spend a shit ton of money. Even though the vast majority of people that buy Madden play face of the franchise and franchise.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
It sucks, but I don't see it getting any better until EA, hopefully they lose the license next year and 2K can make one, because they were both good when they had competition. And ESPN football from 2K was hands down the best one. You had an apartment that you could trick out and upgrade stuff with the money that you got as a player, and
that's nice.
It felt like a real story growing from rookie to you go to the training grounds and shit.
A progression mechanic.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was 20 years ago, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about it before, but kind of the same thing happened with the Elder Scrolls series. From Morrowind to Skyrim. Morrowind was way more complicated and in-depth. Like the crafting system, you could craft the most ridiculous shit. And then you get
spells.
And spells. And in Skyrim, it's you can do 1/1000th of what you used to be able to do in Morrowind. It's almost like the games have gotten worse in a way with time. I don't know.
I mean, I understand you have to sacrifice some in-depth mechanics to make a more universally appealing game and make systems that, you can't have something that's as complicated as Football Manager play as a 3D game like FIFA, because Football Manager, even though it has almost no graphics, utilizes a lot of your CPU because there's so many numbers going crunching, so there's that type of resource usage as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. I think there's a better balance that games aren't striking nowadays. And maybe it's just creative directors don't understand, or they're out of touch or something.
Yeah. Well, not to get into too much of the psychology of it, but
sure.
Yeah. Well, anything else about Madden?
Nope, it's same as last year, maybe a little worse.
Nice. All right. So the next game that I have, there's 2 free Epic games this week. The first one we're going to talk about is Automachef. Have you heard about this one, Justin?
No. I mean, I saw when I got it on Epic, I saw the little thing, but I don't know about it. No.
Yeah, it's a resource management game where what you have to do is you get a grid system layout of a kitchen, and you have to place down structures to automate the kitchen so you don't need people. It's all robots. And you're tasked with doing it under cost, under budget, within so much power parameters. Ideally, you won't use too much power to power the whole thing. So there's a bunch of different objectives that you have to kind of meet, and there's a campaign. There's different modes. One's kind of a free-for-all mode. There's a campaign mode where there's a natural progression where you complete the first kitchen, and that's kind of like the tutorial kitchen. Then you go on to the next one, you unlock some like conveyor belts or grappling arms that reach down and grab something and bring it over there and put it over there. And it's a strategy game. It's a resource management strategy game, and it's not for the faint of heart. Some of the biggest complaints about it is that it's complicated and the tutorial isn't great. That's kind of been the universal complaint about the game. So if you go into it, knowing that there's going to be a learning curve, at least at a certain point, it starts getting complex because you have to start automating, like, okay, you need to cut the French fries, you need to automate it so it goes into the oil, the fryer, then you have to automate it to go into its fry cup sleeve, then up to the counter, it has to be registered for, so like, it gets pretty complicated. And
for the big brains?
It's for the big brains. And like, I guess the developers had in mind that the tutorial would be playing the game. But kind of the problem with that is, you're not sure what you're doing and you're spending money and buying different things that you might not necessarily need right away. It's developers Hermes Interactive, publisher Team 17 Digital. Mostly positive reviews. Hermes. Mostly positive reviews out of 350. Came out July 23rd, 2019. And that's pretty much all I got on that one.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yes, I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Well, the other epic game this week is Saints Row, the third remastered. And it's pretty much the same thing as the one that came out a decade ago, 2011. It's the same thing, it's just they did an aesthetic overhaul on it. So the graphics look a little bit better, there's a little bit better lighting, some of the special effects look a little bit better.
How does it look, though, overall?
It looks better, it still doesn't look like a modern day game. Mm-hmm. It still kind of looks...
Like, kind of janky? That's the problem. They always leave them janky.
No, they didn't fuck with any of the gameplay or the control stuff. Like, it's all the same thing from 2011.
Well, that's what I mean. I guess 2011's maybe not old enough, but I know sometimes when they're doing those, it's like maybe change the gameplay to a little more standard, modern feel without changing the core of it.
It's a classic game, and it holds up pretty well. I think it's got mixed reviews on Steam. But I think that's just because it's an aging game. It came out in 2011. It's kind of a Grand Theft Auto clone. I think the first Saints Row was actually like an actual GTA clone. Yeah.
And then they just went wackier and wackier and wackier.
Yeah, they had to establish some kind of brand separate from GTA.
But it's funny because they're like, we're the goofy, wacky version, and then GTA is like, but we're like actually a satire, or we're in a satire on American culture throughout different generations. So you're the goofy, wacky version of a satire.
Yeah, and I am looking now. It did get mixed reviews on Steam. So that's kind of unfortunate, It looks like a fun game. I never played it. I remember when it came out, like it was a huge deal, and I did research on it before coming onto the podcast today, and it looks like a fun game. Like, I might try it. It just looks like a game that, if you like Grand Theft Auto, but you're burned out of Grand Theft Auto, it's something else for you to try. That's like Grand Theft Auto, but different enough.
I think, too, with that one, I think 3, I might be wrong here, but I believe 3 was when they first started being wacky.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear about the reboot, by the way? They're doing a Saints Row reboot.
No, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks... I mean, it doesn't look like anything really yet, but I don't know. I could see it being cool. I'm interested to see how much they tone down the gross-out, edgy, wacko humor for the current climate.
Was it really that bad?
It was pretty bad. I think like 1, maybe in 4, you're like, chasing down a guy and beating him to death with the dildo, and the guy's wearing like S&M gear, and yeah, there's like a bunch of wacky, crazy stuff going on in those games. And then there's the game that we both played. It was Humankind. Came out. It was on day one, Xbox Game Pass, which is where I played it.
Same here.
I guess first things first, it's definitely trying to be competition to Civilization. It's very similar on a surface level. It's 4X, where you play Civilization throughout a few thousand years. So very, very similar on the outside of the box. It's once you start getting the systems that things really start changing. I guess the big one is, instead of picking a civilization that you stay throughout time, you start in the Neolithic era, and when you go to the Ancient era, then you pick between like 8 or 10 civilizations there that have different starting stats and yada yada. And then you move on to the next era once you've earned enough fame and stars, and then you choose a different set of civilizations, which creates. And then the other thing to add too is that if you choose a new one, you get a permanent bonus that lasts with your civilizations. They stack as you go throughout the gain more civilizations. You get more of those stacks of permanent boosts, or you could stay the same civilization from the start and you gain a 10% boost to fame every time you do that. But it leads to very interesting ways to beat the game and creating really cool, unique styles of play. I'm sure there's going to be a meta. I've already kind of seen some things that I thought were just flat out stronger than others, which is another thing too. It's having all this free choice, allowing you to really play with how your civilization develops through every section of the game. Also is going to be hard to balance, of course. So I've already seen it where, like, starting out, if you go agriculture or influence, it's really strong, and then you go into industry, it's pretty powerful. So there's definitely cool where you can kind of change your focus from one area to the next, work on things that you're weak at, or just go, I'm picking every technology civ every single time in a row and just really aim towards one strategy or victory type. So yeah, what'd you think with your initial thoughts of it, Hao?
My very initial thought was, wow, this is a lot like Civ 6.
Yeah. With the districts, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I liked the changes that they made, and like you've said in the past, it's good to have competition. Something that's similar but tries to do it better. And it's good that there is that for Civ 6, some competition, some backboard, some soundboard to push off against. I like how you start off where you have to like kind of hunt animals and increase your fame.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and instead of just plopping down a city like you do in Civ 6. So they are attempting to do a better version of Civ 6. I'm not going to say...
They give you that balance there, just real quick. They give you that interesting balance with the Neolithic era, because you can stay in the era after you get 1 star to try to get all 3 stars for a more fame boost in the beginning. And it's kind of a balanced reward, because it's like, I want to plop my city down as soon as possible to start earning influence and other things, but I also might want to explore more for that even better spot to put my thing down. Whereas in Civ, if you end up in an era and you're like, oh, this is a shitty starting spot, restart. So, but anyway, that cut you out.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And another thing with that too, like if you don't progress to the next era soon enough, it's possible that one of your opponents will take the culture that you really needed. So there is a benefit to trying to rush through it, but there's a balance. You got kind of weigh where you're at, and it should be different a little bit. A little bit different every time you play, and I like it. I think there's a lot of potential to this game. I'm not gonna stop playing Civ 6 to play it though. To play Humankind, not yet anyway. I'm not convinced, but I don't know. I'm gonna see if my wife would like to play it, and that might be a good like husband-wife type of game to play. She and I already enjoy Civ 6 together, but we get burned out of that, you know, because I always go military and science, and she always goes culture and religion, and we always end up like 10 turns away from the other one winning. It's always really close, actually.
Nice.
But like it gets repetitive, you know, and so Humankind can kind of be a break from that. But
yeah, I don't know. There's certain things that I flat out think it does better than Civ 6, which I'll say is, for one, the speed, the pacing of the game, I think is a lot better. I mean, I have intricate nitpicks that I would change in parts of it, but overall, I feel like late game goes by so much faster. Even if I have half the world conquered, the speed of play at the end game is so much quicker because things are slightly more automated, and you're not dealing with workers, a billion workers on automate. You know, you're basically just controlling your units if they're automated or stationed, and then your cities when they build something. But normally I have things on a queue, so I'm not getting stopped that much. And it seemed like, things were just much quicker. The world on Huge is quite large. Yeah, so I mean, just not having workers and things, as much things to micromanage, makes the game a lot faster, in my opinion. I think military's pretty strong, and that's the part where it slows down a lot, is the battling, because you have the battles within the battle overworld map, and you can automate them, but you're always going to be at a disadvantage, because when you're fighting the stronger AIs, of course, your human brain is what gives you the advantage at the tactics. So there's some problems there, but overall I said the pacing at endgame's a lot faster than Civ, which I enjoy.
Yeah, I one of the first things I always do when I play a 4X game is I go in and I see if there's an option to change the animation speed. And so I actually did that in Humankind, where I think I went to speed of 2 or 3. So when you click on unit to go somewhere or do combat, it's a bit quicker. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there watching animations all night.
I mean, I always play with normal at first, but then, I think probably like a few hours in, or 10 hours, I definitely went into that as well. I also like the way the cities look as they grow. Look so much more natural than Civ 6. Mm-hmm. And they kind of spread out, and they look really good. It's kind of got more Civ 5 graphics with Civ 6 gameplay.
That's fair. I think that's a good comparison there.
Yeah. Another problem I have, which is tied to the pacing, is that with the technology the way it is now, where one of the end game triggers is getting all of the technologies, well, a lot of the best units and the funnest things that you want to play with are towards the very end of the tree, and the way science ramps up in the final era with the things you unlock means that technology is actually almost being researched faster. So you get almost no time, and I would say this is true through a lot of the eras in general, is that you don't get as much time playing a normal speed with the units that you're unlocking, and maybe even to the point that you have enough time to play with them at all, or even build them as you progress through the era. But that's like a nitpick that they could probably fix and balance, or just have the option to turn on, say, well, you can already turn that win thing off, but then also have maybe a permanent technology unlock the way Civ 6 does, what all Civilizations had, where it was like future tech, and it would just, if you had it in this game, increase your fame or something like that. Mm-hmm. I would appreciate, because you want to use the nukes in the game are fucking awesome. Like, these are not Civilization nukes, my friend. These are real deal Holyfield nukes, man. These fuckers annihilate the city you drop it on, and everything in that territory is dead. It is a dead tile. It is awesome. It's exactly what you want nukes to do in these games. And you can destroy the whole world. You can if you do like, if you get like the pollution stuff ramped up, you could totally just kill all life on Earth, which is interesting. They don't do enough with pollution, and they certainly don't give you enough tools to fight it. So really, your only means of fighting it is to not build as much manufacturing. I haven't had it be a real problem. I usually finish the game building as much manufacturing as I want, and I win the game before we get to a point where it would ever get beyond level 1. So I don't know what the levels are, but I do think that that's cool that you can do that. I also believe that they should take a harder look at that. Maybe in future expansions, because I mean Civ 6 sucked. Civ 5 sucked until the expansions came out. So I'll give the same thing to Humankind. I played through 2 full games and I had a bunch of restarts in there as well. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed what it is. It's a great base game. It's a great base. Another problem too, I'll touch on real quick, is it's the exact same thing that Civilization had, where religion is basically pointless at first. So I'd imagine, and the culture is not well explained either, the influence of culture. So I'd say if they do a new expansion, or a few of them, one of them has to target religion and culture really specifically, and hopefully they address some of the pacing issues while still keeping that really fun level of speed that you have going on. I'd say overall the whole game plays pretty quick.
So where it stands now, how would you compare it to Civ 6? Like, would you, if you were to invite a friend to play a game, would you invite him to play Civ 6 or Humankind right now?
Well, right now it's 6. If we're comparing base games, I'd say maybe Humankind's actually the better base game. But they've also been able to learn from Civ 6 because clearly there's a huge influence there.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, right now Civ 6 is a no-brainer. However, it's a very strong start, and if they add a little more onto this, put a little meat on those bones, it's going to be absolute great competition. And I did have a lot of fun with my time in it. All right, so let's move on to the news. And this is from PC Gamer. Indie dev leaves industry indefinitely thanks to exploitation, Steam's refund policy. So this story brings up an interesting dilemma, I think. A horror indie developer has stepped away from games development indefinitely because Steam's 2-hour refund led to a high number of returns on their latest game. Solo developer Amica Games released the psychological thriller Summer of '58 at the end of July, receiving mostly positive reviews on Steam. But as they tweeted in a statement this week, the game's short length has led to a high number of refunds being processed, leaving Amica out of pocket. The fact is that my game, Summer of '58, does not reach 2 hours of playing time by Steam standards, the statement reads. In this regard, a huge number of returns on the game, even with positive reviews, and I do not earn anything to create a new game. It's a proven disheartening situation for Amica, who said they would be leaving game development for indefinite time to collect their thoughts. So, I don't know. To me, this is interesting. I think you gotta have a good couple hours to see if a game's fucking broken or not. I probably, if I had to pay for Madden, I probably would be like, oh, I'm returning this. So, but I also think there could be exceptions where if your game is under $10 or $5, or if it, let's say it's not even tied to price. Let's say if your game is under 2 hours, then you should be able to put a tag on there that says, not returnable if played, at all, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Change the amount of time. Not returnable after half an hour, something. Mm-hmm. Next up, we got this one is cool to me. Hey, I didn't much care, but Skate is coming to PC for the first time indefinitely. This is a report from PCGamesN.com. Skate series coming to PC at long last. The in-development Skate 4 or Skate Reboot. They're not sure what it actually is, but those are what we're calling it. As it seems to be referred to by EA, has finally been confirmed as coming to PC, bringing 14 years, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so it's confirmed the new skate game they're working on will be a PC game, which I don't know. I love skateboarding games. There has been enough of them. It seems like maybe there's a little bit of a resurgence lately. And the fact that us PC gamers, the chosen ones, the ones with the big wrinkly brains, we get included finally in the fun to live out all our fantasies of being sweet-ass skateboarders.
Yeah, skateboard games aren't just for PlayStation players anymore.
Yeah, nerds.
Yeah.
We're coming here to kickflip over you nerds.
Sega Dreamcast?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Don't carry your lunch tray around me. I'll smack it to the ground, nerd. Next up, this one I also found interesting just because I'm a big management gamer, but Park Beyond is a new theme park management game with impossible roller coasters. This was announced at Gamescom or shown there. It's a Bandai Namco game, though, which is interesting for a management game. I'm not familiar with very much of their ties to any sort of management games before, but it looks really cool. It's going to come out next year. And that's another genre that we've actually seen a lot of competition coming into recently, is these old school games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, the medical theme park, whatever that one was called, Theme Hospital.
Yep.
So we're getting a lot of throwbacks to those, and I can never get enough of them, especially because Planet Coaster was more like, a lot of these games have been aimed at the other type of gamer that loved Roller Coaster Tycoon, for instance, where like Planet Coaster is the amazing game for people that just want to make these beautiful, in-depth, awesome parks and design intricate, beautiful roller coasters. And not hardly any of them are for the nerds like me who just want to run a park and do the financials and have stats on all my staff and, go more into that side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is disappointing to me, but, it's cool that, maybe this is the one. Maybe this will have both.
Well, you and I are pretty much the same age, and wasn't the first Roller Coaster Tycoon that came out while we were in like middle school, 6th grade, something like that?
Middle school, maybe even earlier. I don't even think I played it until like the second one came out.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in EGM, the magazine, the video game magazine, and I always saw Roller Coaster Tycoon ads. I'd be like, I really want to play this. This looks so fucking good. And like the only game I played that was like that up to that point was Westwood Studios' Command and Conquer games. So it was kind of like that. But
yeah, that game's called Park Beyond.
Park Beyond.
Something to keep an eye out for the management nerds in the house.
Yeah.
Crusader Kings 3, an amazing game. I did like half an hour talk on it a couple weeks ago. Is coming to the consoles. And if you look at one screenshot of this game, you're like, how? How could you play this on a console? So that is awesome for console players. Hopefully they've created some unique, ingenious way to make this flow, well for a controller.
That's hard, man.
Yeah.
Like I was wondering how they did that with Civ 6. Brooke was wanting to get Civ 6 for like the Nintendo Switch. I was like, why don't you just play it on PC? Like, I don't even know how it makes sense to play a game like that on console. Like, there's just some games that I don't think like
Switch has touchscreens though too, right?
I don't know. I could go grab it. Probably.
Yeah. I think it's a touchscreen too. So if that's the case, then it's pretty easy to probably move the map with the like left hand and then maybe touch the screen sometimes to click if you want to click a city or a specific unit.
I guess if you're playing on the screen, but if you have it like ported into the TV and you're playing with a controller, then I don't know how you
you're
play.
Just unit cycling or city cycling. They probably have a button and then you cycle through. And it's like, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think there's a practical way to play like a real-time strategy game or a game like Civ 6 with a controller.
Or maybe they just bring up the whole screen on the TV, and then you use the controls to just click
The motion
stuff.
control, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really difficult. That's a difficult challenge. I don't know how they would do that.
So yeah, I mean it's a huge UI challenge,
Yes.
and I mean I love their games, and so I'm rooting for them, and I'm rooting for console nerds to be able to get that. That'd be sick. You know, an actual like crazy in-depth game. They usually don't come to consoles.
No, they don't. Whenever I play a console game, I always feel like I'm playing like 60% of the actual game, and the actual like rest of the 40% is on PC. Like, I don't know. PC
I don't know,
bias.
it's kind of like, but I kind of feel that way playing Madden because they have like two versions right now, and like the most upgraded one is only for PS5 and Xbox X or whatever they call it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the PC gets the older version that the consoles get.
Have you seen how much those PS5s cost?
Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah.
Well, you can't even get one, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's about $1,000. It's about the average price.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, just buy a computer. What the fuck?
Well, I've even wanted to get a PS4 just to play some old games that I missed, but even those aren't like dumb cheap like they should be by now.
Yeah. Well, there's the last time I went on a ROM spree was probably 15 years ago. But I bet you there's some really good ROM websites nowadays where you can just like go download like Final Fantasy VII or whatever and just play it with a controller on your PC.
Yeah. I mean, I've done some of those. So, anyways, this one is cool. We're shitting on EA earlier for their bullshit Madden, but EA is making 5 accessibility technology patents free and available to anyone.
Nice.
Including Apex Legends ping system can now be used by anyone without cost or repercussions.
What's the ping system?
I don't know. They hit a button. You can kind of ping an area on the map so other people know what you're talking about, I guess. I'd imagine.
Oh, when you said accessibility technology, I thought you meant for like handicapped people.
Well, in a way, that could probably help. Say you can't speak or something. You're like deaf. Having these pings show up on a map that you can see and not have to hear.
Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, I don't know how, like, that's cool. I guess it's their patent, but I don't see how that's any different than, say, League of Legends, how they had ping system on the map. But
maybe they kept that code private, like they didn't release it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they did. I mean, I'm sure this works different because it's actually 3D game versus, top down. But anyways, EA is making 5 patents available. In an announcement today, is making a patents pledge, promising to make them all free without repercussions. They said, where's the statement that I read? At Electronic Arts, our mission is to inspire the world to play. Chris Bruzzo, EA EVP of Positive Play Commercial and Marketing.
Oh, God.
We can only make that a reality if our video games are accessible to all players. Our accessibility team has long been committed to breaking down barriers within our video games. But we realize that to drive meaningful change, we need to work together as an industry to do better for our players.
Oh my
God. Developers will make the most of these patents and encourage those who have the resources, innovations, and creativity to do as we have done by making their own pledge that puts accessibility first. We welcome collaboration with others on how we make this industry move forward together.
Oh! And the crowd goes wild.
Hip, hip, hooray!
What a man. What a man.
So this is awesome. I see zero downsides to it other than just their disgusting self-congratulatory blowjobs.
Exactly.
How good am I? I can suck my own dick. How great is that? And I like, too, they have to throw in that jab where it's like, so if anyone else wants to give up some free patents, that'd be cool, too. That Maybe if Activision would give some, then we could use those, and you could use ours. That'd be cool. I'm just saying. Just think of spitballing here. Maybe. I mean, we're doing such a great thing. It'd be cool if other people were great too. But you're not great. You're not great. We're not forcing you. We're just saying, though, if you were great like us, you would. But it's okay.
Nice. I like how you wrapped that
Always
up.
going to be.
That was a clean wrap up. That was very believable.
Yeah.
That was very good.
It's, I don't know, ridiculous. But again, that's cool. And I do hope other people do that. Throw in some accessibility. Let these one-armed gamers have a shot, baby. Let these dudes have to play with their feet,
Yeah, well, accessibility is the future for sure. In programming, like I learn all the time about like how to program an accessibility thing so people who are blind can navigate web pages and stuff like that.
This a little minor thing, but I just want to bring it up because I thought this game looks really, really cool, and we haven't mentioned it at all. But Black Myth Wukong switches to Unreal Engine 5, so they're upgrading their engine ahead of release, and it'll support 4K, 60, blah, 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 ray tracing. So that's interesting, like that they have a game that's mostly worked out, and then they're upgrading the engine like that to a new one. So maybe they're just going from 4 to 5. So there must be a lot of tools to help make that achievable, huh?
Yeah, some kind of a porting tool or something, or maybe it's just not that different. Just some syntax.
Yeah, maybe just it gives you a little better. So, but that's cool. In this game, I had Hey Ho look at the trailer before. I saw it a few weeks ago. I've been jumping on the hype train, but the Black Myth Wukong trailer looks awesome. The game fucking looks cool, dude. It kind of looks like a Dark Souls, but you have the Chinese. Maybe it's Japanese. I'm not actually. I think it's Chinese though.
I think it's Chinese.
Goku Wukong myth, which is awesome. You're the monkey god out here battling other gods and fucking monsters. I'm all about it.
Interesting concept. I've never been huge into the 3D, or not 3D, the third person hack and slash style.
Mm-hmm.
Not really my style.
Well, should never gave it a chance. You probably should.
Maybe I should.
But yeah, I think I've talked about it on here before, but I just love, culture, video games that do cultures that I'm not super, super familiar with.
They should make a game about North Korea.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think the last one that was kind of in that same vein, the Chinese one, was like Jade Empire. Remember that one?
Yeah, I never got into it though.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was awesome, but pretty cool. You're like seeing like Chinese gods and stuff. It's just cool. It's like I know the Greek ones. I'm very familiar with the Roman ones and the Norse ones now. So to see those is cool. Apparently, Epic offered $200 million to get PlayStation exclusives onto PC. Well, this news has been around since May. A lot of documents and information surfaced during the span of 21 days, which a new report from Verge, which recaps most of the interesting exhibits during the trial, shared a lot of interesting things from both parties. So this is stuff being pulled out because of the legal battle of Apple and Epic. But this comes out I guess it was not accepted. But that's very interesting, man, that they're throwing out, we talked, a few weeks ago, how much money they're losing and expect to lose by 2025 with this venture. We talk every week about the free games they give us. And then to see them also trying to splash around 200 milli to get exclusives from PlayStation, which are games I really want to play. I want to play God of War. I want to play Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I want to play it.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2. I want to play it.
Yeah, Epic's a ballsy company, man. Like the route that they're taking.
Yeah, gotta give it to them.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's all the news we want to cover. Did you have anything to add here towards the end? Yeah.
Not really. Everything's cool, man. Got a baby on the way. And so I'll have someone to finally play video games with me.
Finally, a friend you can tell all your dead baby jokes to.
Yeah. Hey, son, come here. I got a joke for you.
How long does it take to microwave a baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, you could do like cool things, like you could just like work out with the baby and see how many times you can lift the baby like in a row, dude.
Yeah.
Or balance it on your head. You're like, whoa, how long can I balance a baby?
I'm sure my wife will love that.
Yeah, dude. She don't have to know about it.
Yeah, weird, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like having a little monkey crawling all over the place.
Hell yeah. And just like a monkey, it'll try to rip your face and genitals off.
Bite my nose off while I'm sleeping.
Bite your fingers off one by one. Crazy monkey. All right. That's the show. Do all that stuff all those other creators tell you to do. And thanks for watching Nuclear Grenade Podcast. Have a great week. And we will not miss next week unless Heiho gets struck by lightning again.